Hi, I'm Nikki from Teaching Autism, and welcome to the Autism and Special Education Community Podcast. Are you an autism or special education professional? Are you a teacher or therapist looking for support and new ideas? You may even be a parent, family member, or carer. This podcast is perfect to help you find out more information, support, and get some of your questions answered. Hi everyone, and welcome to a bonus podcast episode this week. So this week I have been so excited to share this podcast episode with you, and I am chatting with Kate Dawson from the All-in-One Company. Now, I first found out about the All-in-One Company when Rachel reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in collaborating with them and designing our very own sensory onesie. Now, if you want to watch the video of how Carys designed a sensory onesie totally from scratch, right the way through to choosing the fabric, the design of it, the zip, the seams, and then receiving it at the end, head on over to the show notes and check it out. Now, I had a lot of interest from people when they seen the sensory onesie to find out more about the process and about the company. So Kate was really excited and more than happy to come along on the podcast today and share all about their company and the vision behind their products. So tune in and let me know what you think, and let me know if you decide to invest in a sensory onesie. And without further ado, let me bring on Kate to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Kate. I am really excited to have you here from the All-in-One Company. Could we start with a little bit about who you are and a little background information just about you?
Yes, of course. Hello, I'm Kate Dawson from the All-in-One Company. I started the All-in-One Company in 2008 when I needed a garment to keep my daughter warm at night. And she was a little fidget and used to kick off her covers repeatedly. And I'd have to keep going up to her room, tucking her back in. And I just thought, you just get to a point where you think something has to change. I need to keep her warm. So I needed a fleecy sleep suit that would just keep her warm and snug every night, but not something that had attached feet. So I decided I needed to create your own onesie. So that's when it all started. So we've been going it'll be 11 years this year, and really proud about it.
That is amazing. And I love how you have that personal touch with it as well, where this all started from you and your family as well. So it's just that nice that it has that at the heart of all of this amazing business that you have set up.
Absolutely, yeah, and something we're all really proud of. And it's nice that Lily's now joined the team. So she was literally 2 years old when I needed this product, and she's now 17 and doing a digital marketing apprenticeship with us, which is absolutely lovely.
That is amazing. So you are literally turned into a family company. We have you and your daughter on board. That is the perfect company. I bet you're so proud to have her with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I really am. And she's loving it, which makes it even nicer. She's really just throwing herself into it completely, and it's absolutely amazing.
That is fantastic. So I know you said that that's why you decided to start, but I know that you also sell a whole range of other things on your website as well, not just the sensory onesies too.
That's right, yes. So we started off with Create Your Own Onesie, started off with just polar fleece, and now we offer a whole range of different fabrics and also a whole range of accessories that go with your onesie. So we can do hot water bottle covers, we can do blankets, hoodies, bottoms, sleep bags, loads of different things. And yeah, we've also launched the sensory onesie as well.
That is amazing to have so many things going on in such a short amount of time with your business, really in the business world. And I know Carys has her eye on a lot of things from your company, including a few more onesies, because when we got to design that onesie, I was blown away how many options you have available. There's so many fabrics, and she was in her element. If anyone hasn't seen the video, head on over, because Carys was in her element designing everything with you guys. There are so many options you have available.
Absolutely. Well, it's sort of grown with our customers, really, because we started off with onesies where you could just add bear ears and rabbit ears, and then people were asking for leopard ears and dinosaur spikes, and so as people were asking, we were adding those options to the builder, and it's sort of just grown and evolved with our all-in-one family, our customers sort of helping us build the product that's perfect for everybody.
Definitely. And what I really love is that this design option really caters for individual creativity. So everyone is different. And in my field, everyone always goes on about every individual is different. We all have different things that we like. And this tool really allowed Carys to sit down and let her creativity flow. And she was able to make a onesie that was totally unique to her. It had everything she wanted. It was a little bit of a crazy design. You know, I don't know how many different fabrics she had going on at one point, but it was totally her. And I think she really enjoyed the fact that she got to have control over something, which sometimes, you know, we take away a lot of that control for different things. But she had total control over her entire onesie, what it would look like, what the design process was. It was amazing.
Absolutely. And that's what's important. That's what's really important to me. I think retail pushes things in front of us. You know, you can have this in pink or blue or black. There isn't the choice. Whereas doing e-commerce, where things are handmade, especially for you, you can have exactly what you want. And I think that's how it should be. That's how fashion should go. So we're not making mass products for the market that end up not selling and going to landfill. These are all carefully decided on. Like you say, Carys chose all the options. She knew which fabric, which patterns, whether she wanted a front zip, a back zip, ears, tail. You know, she chose all of those things. That was then handmade for her. And that then gives a connection. She'll always remember doing that, creating the onesie, having it made especially for her. And I think that gives you a connection with that garment and gives that garment longevity. It's not something that you'll just wear a few times and then send to charity shop or send to landfill. It actually means something. And I think that's how we need to go for the environment, you know, just keeping hold of products and clothing that actually mean something, that have been made for us especially.
Definitely. And you can see, you know, the way that her face lit up. She was so amazed that she called it her drawing, you know, her drawing had come to life. And she was just amazed that everything that she designed, she got to have as a physical copy in front of her that was totally hers. And like you say, it's unique. It's something that she's always going to remember. I know that going to a shop is exciting for many of our children and even young adults, but it's not always possible. And for Carys, being able to design this from scratch, and you even had measurements on there and all that, it really added to the experience for Carys. I know she went on about it for weeks. She was so excited for the onesie to come. She was so excited. And like you say, it's unique. Everyone has their own unique style. And for Carys to choose everything, you know, she had the pockets, the ears, the tail, the fabric, the type of the fabric, and, you know, the fact that she got to choose different fabric for different parts of the onesies. You guys are amazing. I know you hand make these. Hats off to all of you. You are amazing. The quality, I've never seen anything such high quality, especially for the sensory as well.
Absolutely. It was lovely just seeing her face on the film. It literally was watching her dream come true. It was so nice that in a way it was a bit like disbelief. Can I really have that? Wasn't it? It was just so lovely to see her actually putting the design together. And I think that's what makes our day, is it is making people's dreams come true. You can have anything. And like you say, you can mix and match the fabric. So if you want a thicker fabric on your arms, if you get chilly arms, or you want something warmer on your tummy and a lighter weight fabric on the sleeves, then you can. You know, it's absolutely up to you to pick exactly what you want. And if you want the feet attached, they can be attached to the onesie. If you want them detachable, they can be detached. You know, every single option is your choice.
And I think that is particularly helpful, you know, for all our individuals who have these sensory needs, little things like that, like being able to choose the cuffs on the wrist and the way the feet are, the hood are. This is all amazing for anyone with sensory needs. But what effect do you think that these sensory friendly onesies really have on individuals with sensory needs?
Well, I think it all started when we used to work with the National Autistic Society doing Onesie Wednesday. So we'd supply onesies to the staff to go out and collect funds and everything for Onesie Wednesday for the National Autistic Society. So then when that finished, we actually said, what else can we do? How can we help? And that's when they suggested maybe a sensory onesie. And I wasn't really that aware of sensory issues then, but they were brilliant and sent about 10, 15 families down to meet us at the factory, children of all different ages. And so we put all the fabrics on the table, all the different types, and they told us how those fabrics made them feel and which ones were the favourite ones, which ones they didn't like the feel of. And once we went through all the fabrics, we then went through the seams and how seams and labels and everything on the inside of the garment can really affect people. So that's when we started really getting down to it and working on the sensory seams and how that had to be on the inside to make it wearable. So it was really enlightening, really just amazing to work with all these children. And everyone had very similar views on the fabrics, and the super soft was absolutely the top favourite because it's soft on both sides. But yeah, it was just an incredible experience to get this firsthand, for the children to then come through to see the sewing machinists, to watch them create the seams, to then put the onesies on and give feedback as to how it felt, which was so honest and so brutal. But it just gave us that opportunity to be able to put it right and make it absolutely perfect. So it is life-changing. Some children are really struggling getting into school because they can't bear to wear the clothes and the uniform, but being able to wear a sensory hoodie and sensory bottoms, or a onesie, depending on what they prefer, they're able to just be calmer in their own environment, knowing that they're wearing something that actually feels nice on the inside.
Definitely. I think it's amazing that you had that hand-on experience with all these families as well. So that what you're making really is suitable. And I know that you do donate, I believe it's 5% of purchases of the sensory onesies to the National Autistic Society. Am I right?
Yes, that's absolutely right. So every sensory onesie that we sell, 5% goes to the National Autistic Society as a thank you for them helping us create this product. It's a feedback to them to say thanks, to be able to, help them do the work that they're doing.
That is amazing. Like you say, they do a lot of fantastic work, but what you're doing as well, that is just amazing for so many people. I don't think people realize, maybe who don't have children with sensory needs, just how much this can affect children in their day-to-day lives, and adults as well if they have sensory needs, where having an item of clothing that's affecting you, and that can take away your whole attention for the day. If it's scratching your leg, if it feels too heavy on you. But these sensory onesies, that makes a huge difference, because instantly they feel more comfortable, and that means they can concentrate on more things as well. They're not having to worry about how something feels, what's scratching them, what's itching them, all these things. Like you say, even from the seams, Carys was delighted that she can choose things with certain seams just so that it didn't affect her as well.
Absolutely, it does. It is life-changing, and it's lovely. It's lovely getting the feedback as well from the families to say, she doesn't want to take it off. I need another one to wash, one to wear. They last so long and they're so comfortable. It's so lovely getting all the feedback. So it was well worth it. It took us a long time to create it. But honestly, it's so lovely getting the feedback, and it feels like everyone is part of the family, because we do get photographs and films and stories and stuff on social media, and it is really amazing just to make a change. It's lovely.
It really is. And what I love is the fact that you've created a whole portal where they can design their own, rather than, like you said earlier on, just putting in front of them what they can buy. Instead, you're offering them the option to design their own. And I think that helps to make a personal connection with you as a company to these families as well, because often it's so difficult to find clothes, and you offering this option, you are probably being a lifesaver to so many families all around the world. I think that helps to build that extra connection, and to send you photos and videos just shows how much people really appreciate you and all the hard work your company are doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's made a difference having the 3D onesie builder as well. You can actually see it in more like real life rather than the 2D builder that we had to start with. That was more like a pencil drawing and a flat version of the onesie. So I think this new experience on the new website gives you a real insight as to actually how your onesie is going to look, which makes a big difference. You know, if you're spending quite a bit of money on something that is going to last, but you actually want to know what it's going to look like, which is difficult with e-commerce, you know. So what we do to try and sort of help that is offer a feel first service as well. So you can contact us and just ask for, you know, a selection of the fabrics to be sent, so you can actually feel them first before you actually design your onesie. So all these little bits and pieces help. But it's all about communication, you know. It's about letting people know what we can do. And, you know, we're sort of building the website all the time to try and increase that communication level.
Definitely. And I really think, I've communicated with you and Rachel through your company, and you were both so helpful and very open to communicate with. And I think, if any family is worried about a certain type of fabric, to just contact you, because you're all so helpful. You really want to help. And like you say, those free fabric samples as well, that can really help if parents are maybe a little bit overwhelmed with different fabrics and what their child will like. That again adds to that personal touch too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to know what it feels like on the inside as well as what it looks like on the outside. So all of that's important. Obviously, the fabric swatches on the website show the outside of it. So yeah, I think just having the Feel First fabric swatch pack is really helpful for people making that decision at the beginning.
Definitely. Now, I know you discussed the 3D design option that you have, and we really like this. Carys found it incredibly helpful because she was able to physically see the design, what it looked like, and the model was turning around. What made you sort of decide that you wanted to offer a 3D option for people to design with?
I think the main thing was the customer feedback. Everyone was saying that their onesie was so much better than they ever expected. And I thought, oh dear, what did you expect? Because yes, they are gorgeous. They are absolutely gorgeous. Everything's handmade, to measure, and they do last a lifetime. But when all the comments are saying it's so much better than I expected, I thought, yeah, because you can't really see it on a 2D builder. So we are really lucky to be able to get some funding on the Scale Up programme to be able to help go towards a 3D onesie website. So it's literally just launched in early summer this year. And what we're doing is actually going international, because more and more people from around the world are wanting the onesie and the sensory onesie. So the more we can sort of let people know, the better, because as we say, you can change lives.
Definitely. And I have listeners from all around the world on this podcast. And I know your onesies are being looked at by all of them. I've shared a video and a photo, and people are so impressed with how life-changing this is because they've never seen anything like it before. And I just want to let people know that you do offer international shipping.
Yes, we do. Yes, we say that onesies take between 7 and 14 days to be made, and that's handmade to order, and then they're delivered worldwide. So depending on where people are in the world, they'll take anything from 3 up to about 7 to 10 days to actually arrive with them.
That is amazing. And I know that you make children's onesies all the way up to adults onesies as well. It's not just a children's option, you do all ages and sizes.
Yes, we do. Yes, so we do babies starting from 0 to 3 months, through all the children's sizes up to age 13 to 14. And then we do men and women's from extra small all the way up to 8XL. So yes, we do. We do onesies for everyone.
That is amazing. Because like I say, a lot of people assume that these children with sensory needs, they sort of forget about them once they leave school. But we all know that those children with sensory needs grow into adults with sensory needs. So offering these onesies for all sizes is amazing. But not only for individuals with sensory needs. When this onesie came with Carys, I've got to admit, I was a little jealous myself. It was amazing. The quality, it is outstanding quality. And I love how the onesie fabric, I struggle with onesies because I get overheated, and a lot of the onesies you buy in shops, they're so thick and fluffy, it's very easy to get overheated. But the fabric that came with Carys's, I loved it instantly. It's like a cooling fabric. It's one I'm not going to get too hot in, but it still felt amazing. It still looked fantastic. I'm going to be buying one myself, and she's going to be jealous too then.
That's fantastic. Well, they come in all different thicknesses. So the one you chose was the polar fleece, which is just a really nice weight, isn't it? It's just really comfortable. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. But there's lighter weight than that. There's the micro fleece, which is so soft, and then there's a super soft cuddle fleece, which is a little bit more fluffy, and then you can go right to the extreme of the premium cuddle fleece, which is really thick and fluffy. But then for sleeping in, we do a cotton range. So we do the sort of cotton jersey and the organic cottons as well. So there is something for everyone. And when you say about the size, the leg length can be chosen, sleeve length can be chosen, the body length can be chosen. So everything's made to measure to make it the perfect fit for you.
It really is. I felt like at one point, it felt as if we were designing a wedding dress because Carys got to choose everything. We were measuring her leg with her. She was making sure that all the sizes were right. It really is completely personal to the person who's designing it and buying it. And it's the perfect fit for her. And I know she struggles a lot to buy onesies and pajamas and clothing in general because she's very skinny, but she's very tall, but she's still a young adult. Whereas this onesie was the perfect fit because you do design them totally to measure as well.
Absolutely. I'm really pleased about that. That's lovely. But if any mistakes are made, if anyone, doesn't get it quite right, we do offer an alteration service as well. So, just not to worry. If you order something that's a little bit too big, we can easily take it in or take it up. That's not a problem at all.
That is amazing, especially for those who maybe can't get measurements of their children as well.
Absolutely.
But what I really like about this from an education point of view as well is this design tool. I found it has got education behind it because you're putting them in control of something. They're creating their own clothing. They're making choices. They're using their creativity to design something. They're working on their computer skills. So this isn't just something that you make and then you go off with. You're also giving your children and young adults a chance to really be part of something and really work on sort of business and life skills as well.
Absolutely. And it's all about how clothing's made as well. You can look further into it about all the design elements and also how to get an e-commerce business to actually function like that. So there's loads of learning behind it. And we also invite school trips into the factory to see onesies being made. So there's lots of learning on all levels from this.
That is amazing, especially for schools to come to. This would make a perfect enterprise project where they can actually see the process from start to finish. They can design their own onesies. I think you guys are doing so much more than just offering sensory onesies. You're offering the whole package of life skills and business skills and really making this personal as well.
Absolutely. And it is important, when I go into the schools and do the talks, I discussed that I needed something for Lily when she was little because that thing wasn't on the market. There wasn't such thing as a baby grow for older children. To keep them warm at night. So this thing that was missing for me, I've actually made a business out of to help other people. So I plant the seed in the children's head, what's missing for you? What do you need if you're sat watching the TV at night? What's missing? So all these amazing enterprise ideas come out of the classroom and then they come to the factory and see onesies being made and see this idea actually come to life. And it gives you the feeling of, I can do that too, rather than businesses for somebody else. So, yeah, it's really fulfilling to be able to pass that message on to the next generation.
I love that. And I love how involved you are with everything. You're so involved with schools, the National Autistic Society, families. I just love how involved the whole company is with everyone. You really want to be an open company. And like you say, being able to go to schools and show children what is possible as well and really open up their minds and know that they can do it as well. I think there's something really special in that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's lovely. And to get the enthusiasm and to see somebody, just the light switch on and just see them come to life and just coming up with a fantastic idea. Or even the fact that they think this is what I want to do. I'd love to go into the textile industry, into the clothing business. I'd love to learn to sew. just being able to inspire somebody so they know which path they'd like to follow is amazing as well. So, and the other lovely thing that we've got involved with is the baby banks. So the offcuts from the onesies are actually used to make little onesies that are then sent off to baby banks just to help people, that turn up at women's refuge centres or whatever, just with themselves and their children and no pyjamas. There's actually now pyjamas there waiting for them.
That is amazing. That is just, you guys are so impressive. I have been so overwhelmed with just how amazing your company is. And to even offer, those leftover pieces of fabric and be able to offer those baby onesies and donating them as well. That just goes to show how homegrown and family orientated I think you and your business are.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, I'd rather that than it goes to landfill and we cause an environmental issue. So I would much rather those pieces of fabric are turned into baby onesies and then, help to keep somebody warm and somebody's got pyjamas that night that wouldn't have had pyjamas otherwise.
Yeah, you're making the best out of, what you have left over. Like you say, rather than wasting it, you're putting it to good use and you're helping someone as well.
Absolutely. And also with the amount of fabrics that we have on the website, there's a lot of turnover. So, our suppliers might stop doing a certain pattern. So we might just have a small amount left on the roll, which we can't necessarily get an adult size out of. So that's perfect, again, to make into a child's onesie to send off to the baby banks.
Definitely. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Kate, and for the opportunity for us to make our own sensory onesie for Carys. If anyone wants to see the whole process from start to finish of designing that sensory onesie and just how happy Carys was throughout the whole process, even to receiving her onesie, I really recommend visiting the show notes for this episode to watch that. But Kate, where can my audience find you for your website and your social media accounts?
Okay, we're on www.theallinonecompany.co.uk and the Facebook, Twitter and Instagram are all linked from the website.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kate. Is there anything else you want to add for my audience or anything else you'd like to talk about?
I think just basically, if you've got any queries, just to come and talk to us. We're here on social media, on email, and also we've got Zendesk on the website. So it's a little chat box. So if you're on the website, you get stuck, you're not sure what choice to make, just drop us a little note on the chat box and one of us can get back in touch with you. Hopefully there and then, if not as a message, and just help you through the process. So yeah, we're here if you need us.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kate. I will link all of those things in my show notes so my audience can find you just through a simple click away. And thank you so much for coming on today and talking all things sensory onesie with us.
You're very welcome. It's been lovely talking to you, Nikki. Thank you so much.